Did you understand what I was saying just then? If you said no, then good, because I have no idea what I said. It was just random sounds. If you said yes, then you're a dirty liar. That's right, I caught you this time, Greg. Okay, so before you click away because you think this video is just going to be me making a bunch of random sounds, believe it or not, there's a point to what I just did. You see, my favorite thing about this movie was how there was absolutely no dialogue. There was not a single actual word spoken. It was just a bunch of random guttural sounds, groans, murmur, murmur, murmur. It was just all of that. But somehow they managed to make a completely coherent story out of it. There was not a single moment where I just stopped and thought, what exactly is going on here? I somehow understood exactly what was happening without any explanations necessary. They managed to make me know what was going on solely through visuals, and I think that was just incredible. I mean, it's not something that hasn't been done before, but it's still something that's very impressive to do. I can't do that. I can barely make random sounds for 10 seconds. Actually, I couldn't do it for 10 seconds because that's an 8-second clip earlier. It's really just challenging to do that, and they did it flawlessly. I wasn't confused at all throughout the entire movie. And to do all of that using just claymation, an hour and a half of just claymation, a form of art that I have an immense amount of respect for, because can you just imagine making those little clay dolls and then moving them centimeter by centimeter, thousands upon thousands of times to make an hour-long movie out of it? Can you just imagine how hard to do that? I just have an immense amount of respect for it. That being said, it was a good movie, but it wasn't a perfect movie. Far from it, in fact. The comedy was pretty hit or miss for me because there were no huge laughs that just bust out laughter where I couldn't breathe anymore and I could not control it. That never really happened while I was watching the movie, but there were a lot of smaller laughs throughout the entire movie. I found most of the jokes funny. But at the same time, even though I say that like it's a bad thing, I feel like that may have been intentional because the animators, Aardman Animations, who are also responsible for movies like Wallace and Gromit and a couple other movies that we all know and love, those movies were also not hilariously funny, but they were the kind of movie that you couldn't help but love anyway because they just had this charm that you couldn't help but be attracted to. And Shaun the Sheep is a similar movie in that respect, which makes me think that the lack of hugely funny jokes was intentional because they don't want to make a movie where you go to bust a gut laughing. They want you to go to the movie, have a good time, relax, and just calm down and enjoy the time that you're there. You're not supposed to lose air laughing. You're just supposed to have a good time. And I really feel like they succeeded in doing that. And so good for them. And it's worth mentioning that when I go to the movies, I like to look around the audience and see who's sitting with me and see what type of people are there and whether or not they're enjoying the movie. And in this movie, I saw a range of children to adults, like 10 or 15 years older than me, and they all seem to be laughing pretty consistently throughout the movie. A lot of them more than me, especially the adults, surprisingly. And that really gave me the impression that it's the kind of movie that anyone could enjoy. Like, if you look at the critic reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, I think they're like 90 or 99% right now. I mean, it's a bit early, but that's still really high. And it's the kind of movie that you can't really hate. And I feel like that just supports what I was saying earlier. It's the kind of movie that you just have a good time watching, even if it's not the funniest. You just have a good time. Another downside I found to this movie was that since there was no dialogue, it was kind of hard to put names to characters. Not because they didn't tell us, because in the beginning they kind of just showed pictures with their names underneath it. But they did it for every character in the movie. They gave the name so subtly that just like that, and you probably missed it. So that kind of made it hard for me to put names to them, but at the same time, that's not that big an issue because you didn't really need names for these characters. As long as you knew that the human was a farmer, that guy was a dog catcher, that's Shaun the Sheep, that's Baby Sheep, that's Fat Sheep, you're fine. That's all you really need to know. And I don't really think that's too many points off. And even without names, I loved every single character. Well, not every single character. The bad guy was probably as bad as you can get. He had not a single likable trait to him, but every other character was super lovable. I loved all of them. They were funny, they were charming, they were just great, and that's a good thing to any cartoon movie, frankly. And I imagine some of you are thinking like, oh, it's a cartoon, of course the characters are likable. But no, Trust me, there are plenty of cartoons and cartoon movies where I just hate the characters because of this reason or that reason or whatever reason. So the fact that I didn't dislike any of these characters is a really good thing. I'm pretty picky about my characters, to be honest. And that's about it. I don't really have anything else to say about this movie. It was a moderately funny movie, but not hilarious. The characters were super lovable. The story, even though it wasn't that complicated, was very easy to follow, even though there was no dialogue at all, and that's very impressive. And overall, it was a moderately good movie. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 stars, and it's as simple as that. That's my new catchphrase. Do you guys like it?